Rise and shine, beautiful people. Hi, I am Coach Ricardo Miller, and we are live once again here on our YouTube channel and Facebook Live. I'm excited about this morning's conversation. If this is your first time joining us, let me tell you something. Put on the notification button on YouTube and the bell and all that stuff, all that and more. You need to make sure that you're engaged in, because here's what it's going to do. It's going to help you to keep up to date with conversations like this that's happening on a frequent basis here on our Effective Living platform. I am joined with two of my closest friends, man. These guys are amazing, okay? Raymond and Brooke Aeneas, man. How you guys doing? Welcome back to Effective Living.
We're doing great, man. We're doing great, man. I guess we are really close friends because you had us on here, I guess, 3 times within the last month. So we feel.
Well, listen, guys, I had to do this because I know your platform. I know your ministry. I think I can push the envelope a lot to say I know your lives, the life that you both live, which is an amazing life. And so those of you guys that are watching us today, do me a favor and share. We're talking about the power couple dynamics, the need for growing this element within homes and families, and really help some people out when it comes to this whole concept of the power couple. And so this morning, please do me a favor and share, tag someone, tag somebody, tag a married couple, tag somebody who's about to be married, and let them know, listen, Raymond and Brooke Aeneas is on right now with Ricardo Miller on Effective Living. Here's the deal. YouTube, you can share, you can invite others to watch. Facebook, let's all do this together. Now, Raymond and Brooke, you guys have been doing a number of things over the years. I know our viewing audience have seen me interview Raymond. They've seen me interview Brooke. Now, I have both of you guys on this morning. You got to tell us, you all break it down together a little bit about yourselves.
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question. You know, I mean, there's so much about us. You know, I'm just blessed to have an amazing wife in Brooke. But for us, we are a couple that really cares about family, and for our family being the best that it can possibly be. We care about family. We care about actually impacting others as well. And that's why we're doing what we do with Power Couples. But we have a passion for marriage and seeing marriages thrive and be the best as they can be. And so that's one of the reasons why Power Couples is so important to us.
And just off the cuff, we actually live in 2 different countries. I talked about this last time, but we are in the Central Florida area, but we also frequent Freeport, Bahamas, Grand Bahama, Bahamas. And quite frankly, we have quite a bit on our plates. We are entrepreneurs. We are visionaries, very interested in making transformation happen across the different systems of the world. But we also are homeschooling parents, and very much interested in seeing, again, just leadership being developed in every aspect of life. And so we lead very intentional lives behind the scenes. So we're grateful to be here this morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're here. They're going to help us. We're going to talk about this subject matter because, you know, I'm of the belief that if you don't know something and you're wanting the best from something you don't know, chances are you won't get the best from it because there's so much you don't know.
Right.
And so I think it's important to study the expert, study those who have made a commitment to get the appropriate information that others will need, and then pursue and grab a hold of it. So this whole concept of the power couple, you know, you guys you launched this a few years back. I remember when you launched. I remember the first meeting. And so tell us the origin, the whole birthing of this concept and bringing it into a reality.
Thank you for that. Well, with Power Couples, this was birthed maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago. And one of the things that Brooke and I recognize is that, you know, the importance of marriage and how we have so many people that don't understand how marriage is supposed to work, or what are the benefits and how you can truly live happily ever after. Right. But we started with a model that focused on couples who wanted to strengthen their marriage in business and grow together and be strengthened together. And so about 6 or 7 years ago, we formed Power Couples to help couples understand that, hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be where one of the individuals in the marriage are doing so well, is succeeding, and the other individual in the marriage is just standing by in the corner, just waiting and cheering that person on while they're still feeling unfulfilled. And so we wanted to bring forth a concept that, hey, you know, both of you can grow together, both of you can fulfill your destiny together, fulfill your dreams together, and be extraordinary together. And then there's no competition and no backbiting in the marriage. And so that's one of the reasons why we formed it. I'm sure Brooke can share more as well.
Yeah, even though we started with the business concept, those who are entrepreneurs, it's shifted. Yeah. I really feel like couples in general are looking to identify what is the next. Yeah. And I think there's a deep longing in couples to identify and live that out. And it's very challenging because there are not many entities or places that you can go to just to help you to walk through that. Different conferences and such. There's a lot of great marriage conferences, but there are not a lot of great conferences that really teach you next level or in regard to, again, fulfillment. And so Power Couples is designed for purpose-driven couples. It's those who understand that there's probably something greater. We feel that pull and we want to get to that space. And quite honestly, Coach, we started Power Couples because there were many couples who were coming to us who were saying, how did you do this? And how are you doing it? Can you teach us? And so we felt the best platform to do that would be with a group setting. And the first time we hosted it in Orlando, it was amazing. Couples flew in from different parts of the nation. We were amazed. Right. And since then, it's just taken on a life form of its own.
Wow. The concept of high performance individuals who are married, now realizing, okay, I'm a high performer. I have an interest to do a lot in the earth. And my significant other, she is or he is also those persons are now you're together, husband and wife, and we're supposed to grow together.
Yeah. The
concept of growing together, especially when you're a high performance individuals, you're an entrepreneur, you're a minister, you're a parent, you know what I'm saying? You're so many things.
Right.
And now you're coming together as a couple, the need or the necessary understanding of growing together with that power. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, one of the things that can easily happen is when you are individuals in a marriage and you have so much ambition, right? It's easy for that ambition in each individual's lives to cause you to become separated, and you can find yourself isolated into your own little silo as a married individual. Yep. And so you're married, but you're not really together, right? Yep. And that's what has happened with a lot of couples. And we saw that and we didn't want it to happen to us. And so one of the things we try to do is we try to do a lot of things together, even though she do some things individually. Yeah. I'm still in the background behind the scenes supporting her as much as I can. So we don't allow that to happen. So it's important that even though you are separate individuals, that you find a way to mesh everything together.
Yeah. I think too, sometimes people couples find themselves a little stuck. Yeah. You know, what you did yesterday really is not enough to get you to where you want to go. Yeah. And so sometimes it's a fight. That's what I found, is that one person sometimes is ambitious. They see the next, they have vision, but they're almost dragging, their spouse to get to the next level. And it's extremely frustrating for a person who is purpose driven and wants to really accomplish everything. We talked behind the scenes before coming live, and you talked about just the possibilities that exist in God. Yeah. Like it's really phenomenal. Who God has called us to be, what he has called us to do is humongous. And if we can tap into that collectively, I think that really is powerful.
Wow, that is so good. I wanted to dive into that a little bit more, because this whole concept of I have potential unlimited, you have potential unlimited. We initially met falling in love with each other, but not necessarily understanding each other's potential.
Correct.
Now to bring those potential together to do all things for the glory of God.
Yes.
Man, amazing. Talk to us about that, because there are people who are struggling in their marriage, not because they don't love each other, but it's because they have not learned how to merge their separate potential that needs to become one potential to be dynamic. Oh man, I want to shout.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. And, and sometimes, we have to learn from the business world, right? Yeah. And the reason why they do mergers is because they become much stronger.
Yep.
and they have a greater reach and they have more impact. And everybody wins and everybody benefits, right? We can take that same model and use it in our marriage. You have to look at your wife or your husband or your spouse as an entity that when you merge it together, man, you can do so much more. And if we can buy into that concept as married couples, as spouses, when there is a challenge, when there is a fight, we understand that we're better with the merger. We understand that we're better working together and accomplishing some things together. And if we are on our own in our own silo, then it's harder for us to climb up to the mountain.
Yeah. That is so good.
Yeah, I think focusing on the promises are important. I just think oftentimes, whenever there is conflict, which we have conflict, I mean, nobody is in a perfect position at all because we're human. So you're going to have conflict. You're going to have disagreements. And I think that what has really kept me sane and focused has been focusing on the promises of God for our life. So whenever, it seems as if it's hard, we're not getting in the right positioning, it seems as if it's not happening, the promises actually help me to align myself. I say, but I remember what God said. I remember what he said, in private. And that really does help us to push through those moments where it doesn't seem like it's possible.
There are couples who've gotten married, loved each other. Somewhere along the line, one person's growing, the other person is no longer moving progressively ahead because one has identified their reason for existing more than the other. And there's some frustration. I mean, environments like the one that you guys have created, how important is it for two people to come together to say, you know what, let's go to a meeting, let's connect with a group that's going to bring us a little bit more in an environment of understanding how we can walk better together, even though we're not equal in execution, because one of us may be a little bit ahead of the other. At the end of the day, we're in this together.
Absolutely.
And we want to see both of us maximize our potential to the fullest. How important is that environment and deciding to stop for a moment and not ignore the disconnect in relations to potential and getting into an environment or being a part of a meeting that will help us to sort of coexist better as couples?
Ricardo, it means everything. I can't express the importance of community. We talked about this a little bit on our lives on the Power Couples page not too long ago. But one all you need is one good exchange. And what it does is it refuels and replenishes. And I think sometimes we downplay it because we don't understand it. But if you ever experience a divine moment, a Kairos moment with somebody, and it was an answer that you've been praying for, and it could be answers and strategy in regard to anything, not just business and purpose pursuits, but marriage, raising children, understanding self-care. There have been solutions in just the private relationships that we've had with people that we're like, this is amazing. Even the exchange of listening to what you have going on privately in your world and it inspiring something in us, it's just incredible. So really, Power Couples is a collective of our personal relationships. If I could just be frank, of people that we know are living it, that we feel are living inspiring lives that will help motivate others. It ignites something internally, and it is so valuable. And I'll say this last part. Sometimes when a person is in a marriage and one person hasn't really identified who they are, they may feel a little intimidated about settings like that. And so it makes it challenging to come because they don't feel like they have much to offer. But that's where you want to be. Because if you could humble yourself to recognize, I actually need to be around people who are high performers, who are doing it, not just talking about it, not just posting about it, but they're living it. They're building multi-million-dollar companies. They are living happily ever after. They are raising kids who are sound and understand legacy. It will spark something in you to become greater.
I mean, if the environment that you're currently in ain't getting you nowhere, then why stay there, right? Get into it, even though it may be challenging. To see, I'm behind, right, in this race. And I see all of these people who are doing so well. Even though you may feel intimidated, either way, if you shift into that environment, you're going to come out better. That's the bottom line. Don't stay in the wrong environment, in the wrong mentality, and think it's going to get you somewhere. You have to make a shift. There has to be a a paradigm shift in your mind to say, you know what, no matter how I'm feeling emotionally right now, I know I need this. I don't feel like I need it because of some things that are getting in my way mentally. But let me put myself in a different environment and let's see what happens. What do I have to lose, right? And that's what Power Couples is all about, right? It's an environment where people can get plugged in. And what do you have to lose, right? You will only gain from that environment because everybody who's going to be there are winners. If you put yourself around winners, eventually you will start winning.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, some must rub off. Even if you're not as good as they are, something's going to rub off. And that's the mentality that you have to have.
Yes.
Listen, I've been teaching for a while that it's impossible to put your hands in a bucket of glue without some of that glue sticking to you.
That's right.
Yes.
That is the power of environment. Now, we live in a world where, man, marriage is on the attack. The statistics that shows the number of divorce that is occurring within our world today, church or unchurched. I mean, you guys have been working with couples. You guys are pastors. You guys are business owners. Y'all have friends. Y'all see and understand society. What are some of the reasons would you guys say to be the problem that's causing a lot of couples who should have never gotten a divorce or separated, but find themselves there? These problems breed divorce, or these problems breed frustration in a marriage, which could ultimately cause separation.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question, Ricardo, and I'm sure Brooke will have quite a bit to say about this as well. But let me just say this: when we look at the how marriages are happening in the world today, we're talking about every three people out of 1,000 people are getting divorced. 50% of the marriages in the U.S. are ending in divorce, right? That tells us right away that people don't understand the purpose and power of marriage. That's the first thing, right? Now, when it comes to helping us with this divorce situation, I think a lot of people have to understand that love doesn't keep marriage together. When we look at a lot of individuals who are divorced, they still love each other, but they're not married, right?
Well, that's a big statement right there.
Exactly, yeah. They still love each other, but they're not married. They got a divorce, right? And the only thing that really keeps a marriage together is knowledge. The Bible says, "My people perish for the lack of knowledge."
Wow.
There's a scripture that talks about how you build your house with wisdom and knowledge and understanding in the book of Proverbs. And so I think that when people talk about, okay, we are getting divorced for, what do they call it?
Irreconcilable
differences. Irreconcilable differences means that you lack knowledge. That's all it really means, to apply the knowledge to fix it. Or people are getting divorced, and first of all, money don't keep a marriage together either, because we're seeing couples who made a lot of money and listen, they're no longer together. And so we need knowledge, and we need to actually take the knowledge and apply it so that we can actually build what we need to build. I'll say this and then I'll pass it over to Brooke. When I talk about knowledge, right? We go get knowledge for so much things, how to make money, how to do this, but marriage is so much more important than some aspects of our ambition, right? And if you go get all the money and your marriage is not together, your spouse take half of it anyway, so it wasn't even worth it. We have to say that it needs to be that way, but we have to focus on what's going to really make the marriage work.
Yeah, I think that there's just a lot of attacks in the world in general, and I think it's unavoidable. I think the attacks are unavoidable. Now, the way you walk through the attack means everything. So prayer has been a linchpin in our journey. Prayer has made all the difference in the world, and for me, it makes sense that couples really don't have time to pray together. That level of spiritual, I would say, immunity isn't really as intact as it probably should be. You may go to church, but in terms of like the behind the scenes and building a home and really spending intimate time in prayer, I'm talking about deep prayer. I'm not talking about just, God is great, God is good. We're really being able to hear from the Holy Spirit, spending time in His presence together and apart, and really getting the divine instruction matters. Because all of us are throwing the towel, Ricardo. Marriage is hard. It requires a level of selflessness and humility and a giving of yourself that it cannot happen apart from God. And so again, the attack is inevitable. And so the strategy has to be intentional.
I want to share two more things quickly that I think is important for us to hear, especially in this area, because I think this is the most important area.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of marriages end in divorce because there's no reverence for God, and people are not building their marriages on kingdom principles. She just talked about selfishness, right? I think that a lot of marriages suffer from what we call the selfish syndrome, right? For example, I believe that it ends in divorce, and people are so selfish that their selfishness can't survive the attack. Your selfishness needs to be able to survive the attack, right? And so you know the attacks are coming. Anybody who gets married, right? You know the attack is going to come. What's going to help you make it through is whether or not you are able to manage your level of selfishness when the attacks come. If you don't manage that, your marriage is going to go under.
Wow. If you don't manage that, your marriage is going to go under. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined with Raymond and Brooke Eneas here this morning. We're talking power couples, y'all. Let me tell you something. You came together, you decided to spend and invest time to commit to each other. You might as well decide to crush it. You might as well decide to figure out how to make this thing work and just go where no one in your family may have ever gone before.
Yeah.
Break the curse, change the game, excel beyond your wildest imagination, and tell your significant other, we're going to do this. And I like what both of you guys said. There's work to be done. Let's talk about this, pride. And there are some people who they're together and they're sustaining what they have together, but unfortunately they're not progressing like their potential demands that they progress. But they don't want to come to a Raymond and Brooke Eneas and say, hey, listen, guys, we ain't broke. Okay, we're both educated, but we feel stuck. You know, we could be so much more than we are, but we don't know how to come out and say we need help to take us to the next level. And so pride, that whole concept of, honey, I think if we stay here, we'll die. Because the truth is we have so much more in us that needs to go forward, but we don't know what to do. And after a while, you start finding friction there because you shouldn't be staying there so long.
That's right.
What's your view on that whole?
Let me just say this. You said a very interesting word, which is pride, right? And here's one thing that people don't understand about pride. Pride is always synonymous with failure. That's the principle. That's the principle of pride, right? The Bible says, whenever you see pride, you can expect to fall. I mean, that is synonymous with failure. And so in a marriage, you can't afford to have pride because this is one of the most important things that you've gotten yourself involved in. A marriage is more important than the house you're buying, right?
Come on.
The house you're buying, or the business that you're trying to go after. It's more important than all of that because what happens is you have two people coming together and they're joining forces to become more powerful than they could ever be, right? As individuals. And so
Dr. Raymond, you got to pull back a minute, man. You just said something that just messed all my head up. You just said, listen, there are some people like, did he just say marriage is more important than the house, than the car? You know, this is true. But there are some people, that's one of their problems, is because the stuff has become more important than the person that they've acquired the stuff with. And so now you're saying, that's a wake-up call. I'm sorry. I just had to stop there for a moment and bring that back.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that there was a movie called Why Did I Get Married? You remember that movie? You watched the movie before? And I think a lot of times people have to ask themselves that question. Why did I get married? And if all of your answers are materialistic, then you know what the end result is going to be. It's going to be divorce, right? Because let me tell you something about materialistic things. It has a way with appearing and despairing. You know what I mean? And if you focus your marriage on those things, while it is good to have those things, I'm not saying you can't have those. If your marriage in your mind is focused on those things, you're setting yourself up from the jump to fail in this marriage. You have to understand that at the end of the day, all I want to have is her if I lose everything else. Because I know if I have her, man, I can build it back easily. You know?
Yeah.
But if I lose her, then man, I'll be trying to build a city by myself, and then I'm going to die trying to build it by myself.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You want to say anything on that, Brooke? Wow.
Yeah, I want to jump back onto that pride topic because I do think that's a major issue. And there's a lot of people that do come, couples that are coming that have done well.
Yeah.
You know, but they understand the importance again of community and being in the right space, and, which is beautiful. And I would just say to the couple who may be struggling with that, you know what? Look at us. Raymond and I spend so much time investing in conferences and learning and being in the right environments and around the right people. Even though I feel like we've had a level of good success, there's still more to explore. And anybody, I don't care who you are and what level of whatever, you know, you've been able to have in terms of good fortune, there's always more. And a person who understands that will be a student forever. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. It's you know, pride is actually a blocker and a hurdle to your best self. Yeah. When you understand that you have so much more to learn, it actually helps to humble you so that you're able to access that next. And if not, you will remain stuck and you will be frustrated. And it will actually prevent you from reaching to your ultimate capacity and destiny.
You know something, Ricardo? Yeah. I just thought about something when she was talking. Yeah. The people who may be able to get away with being prideful show up to the conference.
I'm telling you.
The people who are doing well.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Seen it.
They're already there. They could say to themselves, well, we don't need to be here. I mean, we got all this. We already accomplished that.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are showing up, right?
Isn't that interesting that's how it often play out? You'd be like, why did you sign up? Because I think you're amazing. But that's how they became amazing. And that's how you stay amazing.
That's right.
So what y'all are saying is, if you messed up and you find yourself in a good environment, it'll help you. But if you're doing great and you find yourself in a good environment, it'll help you. No matter what. I mean, if you're in a good environment works for you either way.
That's right.
It's called wise maintenance. You know,
come on now. Listen, let me ask you guys this. You both are an amazing couple. I mean, you all have been walking a beautiful journey together. Your family is just amazing. What has been some of the principles that you guys have identified for sustaining? And I heard y'all mention a few already, but if you want to reiterate them, that's fine. Sustaining this healthy marriage model that y'all are living. And I know you both, y'all are more into living first. And even though y'all teach a lot, I know both of you guys really well that your idea of it is, hey, let's make sure we're good first. And then let's teach what we know to ensure that others get what we discovered. So what are some of those things you all would say you all have discovered that has been really necessary for you all to be who you all are today?
You know, one of the things that I could appreciate about being married to my wife is that she has no compromise for integrity, none whatsoever. And I think that in our marriage, one of the most amazing things is that we don't allow integrity to become something that's temporary. It's not something that is temporary. Like we have it one day and the next day, you know, is a compromise. And so I think that's one of the things that helps us tremendously in our marriage. And another thing that helps us too is the fact that we have learned that from the time that we were married, the importance of growing together, right?
Yeah.
And not growing unequally yoked.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Because some people could get married equally yoked, and they can grow unequally yoked.
Yeah. Wow.
And we've seen that happen in a lot of ways. And so those are two of the major things that we kind of focus on. Another thing we focus on is that you know, we have learned and are still learning to not fight dirty. You know what I mean? Yeah. A lot of couples, they fight dirty. If you have a disagreement with your spouse, some people have a disagreement with their spouse and they run out on their spouse. Yeah. They do things and cheat on their spouse or do mean things. You know, you really don't fight dirty. I'm not saying that we're perfect. Yeah. We have our moments. But you have to learn to fight clean and then come back and say, okay, what is our solution to what we're experiencing right now, right? And I understand, and my wife will say this to me at times. She'll say, you know, I'm not your enemy. Your spouse is not your enemy. You know, we go, as men, sometimes, you know, it can get to our head, right?
Yeah.
And when she say that to me, it causes me to kind of like, okay, you know what? you're really not my enemy.
Yeah, it's perspective, and that's what that attack is like, right? It really causes you to turn inward when it's really not me or you. Typically, sometimes it may be a decision, but oftentimes we have to recognize how the enemy is trying to come in and cause a great divide. And I've learned that it's usually on the brink of something great, right before we're about to step into something. Especially if it's a God thing, he tries to bring distraction and division. I'll say too, what has been helpful in terms of our family is that in marriage is that we go together. He talks about growing together, but we also go together, meaning in every promotion or every step of the way, it's been one step together. It's been a unity that has existed that I really don't, I'm not able to see that in a frequent way across the board in terms of other people that I've met. There are a few, and I think it is a solid solution to again, leveling up. If you can understand the power of unity, it really will cause another level of greatness to be unveiled. And then my final point would be just vision. And I know people hear this all the time, but Coach, vision has been everything for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it has allowed us, I talked about it before, focusing on the promise or at least being mindful of it. Has kept us in alignment. As soon as you lose vision, you lose everything because you're focused on the now. You focus on what's wrong. You focus on what's not going right. We've walked through some hard moments, not just in terms of conflict, but just life. Life has a way of knocking you down. And if you're not careful, you don't see your way out. You stay stuck in the valley. So learn the lessons that you need to learn. And then level up to where God would have you to be so you can really walk in your sonship as sons and daughters of God.
I think another important one too is that, and I wanted to mention this because I think this is important for everybody to hear. We really trust each other in uncharted territory.
Wow.
Yeah, and what I mean by that, I remember when my wife was pregnant with our first son, and she was working in corporate America, doing well, right? Making a great salary, and she comes to me and she says, I want to leave my job and stay at home so I can homeschool my son. And my response was not, oh, we're going to lose all that money, or, we're not going to be able to do this or do that. My response is that what the Lord is telling you? Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so we have learned to trust each other in uncharted territory, right? And I think that comes along with us operating in faith as a couple and believing in each other despite what we're looking at.
Wow, that is so good, guys. Let me ask you this. I was pulling two different thoughts there together, and I wanted to throw another one over here in there. I was like, Ricardo, stay on track, because I was like, this is so incredible. But I want one from both of you guys. And Raymond, you talked about being equally yoked and then growing somewhat apart to a degree that you're no longer equally yoked. And then Brooke talked about vision. And how you need to keep vision in front of you. That vision is the most important thing. The Bible said, where there's no vision, the people perish. That's in marriage as well. So this whole element of we came together, we were equally yoked, but now we're no longer equally yoked. Could it be that we have no longer committed to seeing something in front of us greater than where we are right now?
Right.
Yes.
And is there someone walking in front while the other has chosen not to continue to walk, which now separates us and bring a divide, which now we're not equally yoked again? Could you all dive into that? Because there are people that can come back to oneness. There's a oneness possibility that I believe can happen. What would be some of the I know coming to a meeting that you guys we're about to talk about this meeting in a minute, ladies and gentlemen, but just so you all know, okay, there's a meeting about to take place that can help. But there are someone who said, you know what, man, I feel unequally yoked with my significant other. They can change that they can work on that. And first and foremost, starting off with a vision. And can y'all talk about both of your parts again to some degree to help those who are watching?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not an advocate of irreconcilable differences. Because irreconcilable differences mean that you really don't have a vision, or you're really not focusing on the vision that you started out with from the beginning, right? So when you see two couples that are growing apart, it's a lack of intentionality for each other but it's also a lack of knowing who each other is in the spirit, right? I mean, think about it. If I have this vision from God and I have a revelation of who my spouse is and she have a revelation of who I am, right? That's a triangle that should never be broken, because you always know where you're going. You know the potential that you have. You know the power that you have, right? And you know what it takes to get there. Now you just got to keep working it together. No matter which challenges you have, you know that you're going to eventually get there. And so when people talk about, irreconcilable differences, or I want to get, now, some people get divorces, and I understand that, how can two walk together unless they agree, right? You might have one spouse that it's not their fault. They didn't want a divorce.
Yep.
However, it all comes back to the point of having the knowledge, focusing on the vision, right? Coming out of your own selfishness and understanding that this is not about me, but this is about a specific vision. Now that we have to learn about each other, know about each other, so that we can work together to get to this specific point.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, when it comes to vision, I am a stickler. And I'll be honest, and I've been this way since we've been married. I am personally, by myself, Coach, very ambitious. I had a very great start in my singleness. I started businesses on my own. I was doing very well professionally. So if I'm going to marry, like, it needs to be bringing value to my life, right? It needs to be a bonus to the platform God has already given. That just makes sense to me. And I think that when it comes to vision, oftentimes every week, it never fails, I'll say to Raymond, tell me what the vision is this week. Tell me what is the baby step this week? And it's easy, I feel like, to get caught. You talked about it before, at your current level of success, and think that that's enough. But if you're still on earth, there's still more to be done. There's still more leadership in you to be developed. There's still something for you to do on behalf of the kingdom of God, and you have to recognize it and be responsible with what God has called you to. And so for me, it's going to take a constant conversation. It's going to take continual revelation, continual growth. I'm constantly saying, and we have meetings typically every morning because there's so much on our plates. There's no way we can handle it without constant communication. But vision is a part of that communication. It's reiteration constantly about where we're going, how we anticipate us going there, and what has God said in prayer in regard to the vision being accomplished. It matters. And you talked about in the corporate world. I'll just say this final point. In the corporate world, you better believe they're having executive meetings every week. You have a Monday meeting. You have a debriefing. What are they doing? They're talking vision. They're talking about where we're headed. What are the forecasting? What is the projection? So how much more will we need that in this setting, in a home, that will help us to get where we need to go?
That's so good.
Let me just say this too, Ricardo. And this is what I appreciate about my wife so much, right? In football, they have this concept of the blind side, protecting the quarterback's blind side. You remember the movie Blind Side?
Yep.
I don't remember that, right?
Yep.
What I appreciate about her is that she protects my blind side on either side. And so if you are the visionary and you got to focus on this vision, right? Obviously, if you focus on that, you're going to have some blind sides. You're going to have some areas in your life that you can't see. And that's why your spouse is so important. That's why you can't take her for granted. That's why you can't take him for granted, because they're going to see the blind side and they're going to be able to protect you. And so I know that husbands have this kind of like aggressiveness of protecting their wives. Good husbands, I would say, rather. But a wife plays an important role in also protecting her husband. She protects me in so many ways. I wouldn't be as healthy as I am today if it wasn't for her, right? She protects me in areas that I'm not strong in, and she helped to make me stronger because she protects my blind side.
That is so good. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined with Raymond and Brooke Eneas, and we're talking power couples, man, characteristics of a power couple. Listen, guys, give me a definition. We're almost done, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Do me a favor. Share, like, comment below and let us know what you think about this whole conversation of power couples. Watch this again with your significant others and dissect some of the thoughts that have been introduced that you may have not thought about before. But the definition of a power couple, when you all think of that term being the originator of this incredible meeting that you guys have been hosting, what comes to mind?
I think for me, the definition of a power couples is two individuals becoming their best all by themselves, but becoming greater together.
Wow. Go ahead.
I would agree. I would agree. I would just add.
That's so good.
Yeah, it is. It is good, and I don't think that a lot of people have been able to see that in marriage. You know, it's kind of been traditional, but God is so untraditional. Yeah. And for me, I would just add, then the power really is in Him. Yeah, the power really isn't. We do have power to make decisions. You know, God has given us the power to choose. I talked about this: life or death, blessings or curses.
Yeah.
But y'all, when you tap into the power of who God has created you to be, which is always found in the kingdom of God, it's not a matter of talk. We can talk about it. We can go to church. We can do all the traditional things, but it's time to experience the power of the kingdom. He adds no sorrow. Yeah. He begins to cause things to be added to your life based on what you're pursuing. So if you pursue the right few things, it will allow you to live a powerful, as a couple, lifestyle. And that to me will be added to the definition.
You create an exclusion.
Yeah.
I love it. Listen, go ahead, shoot us some characteristics of you know, what we would say is a power couple. You all have a few that you all want to share with our viewing audience. And listen, guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching us, you want to feed this stuff in your marriage. You want to understand it. Dr. Rimanius mentioned a while back, he talked about knowledge. You want to know. Okay, you want to know. If you don't know, chances are you won't be able to maximize and fully capture the benefits of what you could have. And so what are some of the characteristics, if you guys can do that for us?
Well, let me just say this. We have a powerful model for power couples. We call it the core four. Yeah. And the core four focus on family, business, self-care, and community. Wow. Those four things. But overall, it's about vision and purpose and building together so that you can live a life that's fulfilled. You know, Maslow called it self-actualization, right?
Yes.
You can reach self-actualization with your spouse because you're supposed to be one. Yeah. Okay. And so when we talk about self-care, it's about taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? Yeah. That takes intentionality. It also takes reducing your pride and listening to somebody, like how I have to listen to my wife in certain areas when it comes to self-care, especially. But when we talk about business, we're talking about having an impact, right? And purpose, having impact, but also gaining income so that you can have a greater impact, right? Yep. And so that's what business is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about, okay, impact and income so that I can be able to do more and leave a legacy for others and for my family in the future to come.
And I want to make sure we reiterate the point of purpose. So you may not have a business, you may not have started a business, which is fine. You may already be in your flow and where God has called you to be in your 9 to 5. Great. But make sure that it's purposeful. And so we really do dive very deeply in that aspect of life because you spend a lot of time there. And then family is the third component. So I think that would be another characteristic of a power couple is understanding the power of family. Sometimes people are so gung-ho in whatever it is that their assignment is in life that they really do forfeit the family structure. Wow. I love the time I see you spend with your son, the intentionality that is there. And I think sometimes in life, it can swallow you whole if you're not careful. You can be so busy doing everything publicly to make whatever public impact. And then the private specter and sphere of life is completely out of order. And you end up with a lot of regret. And we can see that, trending. And people that came before us, and you want to make sure that you learn from their lessons and you don't repeat the same mistake. And then finally, just when it comes to community, we talked about that already, but community has meant everything to us. Being around the right people who have the right conversation, who are leading us in the right direction, are really important to us, and we value that deeply. So I think that's important for every couple.
Because I have a brother like you, I'm better, man.
That's right. That's true.
Listen, y'all know I believe in community as well. I'm honored and glad to have y'all as a part of my community. But let's talk about married couples who are out there alone, who don't understand the importance of coming together with other healthy married couples. Like, I mean, having that pit stop earlier in our talk, that time out. And say, let's go do 2 days, 3 days. Let's connect at a deeper level for us because the children will leave one day. We may downsize and get rid of the house. We may sell the business. You know what I'm saying? That boat, the jet ski that you enjoy today will be no more. But
that's true.
But both of you together must learn how to develop an enriched marriage to last for a lifetime. So how important is it? We talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but if we can, as we get ready to close our talk out, the importance of being associated with other like-minded, healthy married couples.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this. I think that it's important to understand how things are supposed to work intrinsically from an internal standpoint, but also from an external standpoint, right? Your spouse is supposed to be an inspiration for you. My wife is inspiring to me. I'm inspiring to her. That doesn't mean that we don't have issues or disagreements or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, she is more inspiring to me, right? When we talk about connecting with other married couples and being in a different community, that brings you motivation. There's a lot that's already in you, but when you get around other people, you see, inspiration happens from within, but motivation happens from outside. Right. And if you want to be motivated, that's something that you can only get from the outside. And some people may be inspired, and that inspiration, they'll sit there and don't do nothing. But when you get around people and you become motivated, that helps to connect the two, and it drives you to want to do more. And this is one of the reasons why you got to get around the community. Come to an event like Power Couple so that you can be motivated by what other people has done. And there's some things that other people has done that you didn't even know or is aware that you should be doing that can help your marriage get better or help you move to the next level as an individual or as a couple. And so you need that motivation. And that's why we host this event, so people can be motivated and they can find like-minded couples to help them move to the next level.
Yeah, so starting actually June 10th through the 12th, we'll be in Orlando hosting Power Couples Lifestyle Conference, which we do every year. Usually it's in Paradise. This year we are hosting it in the city beautiful Orlando. But it's also an online component for those who are interested in attending. And I'm telling you, it is life-changing. We have watched couples who, again, have either come in very well in a great path of life, but have gone higher. And then we've watched couples who didn't know where to start. And so it gave them a great starting point in regard to what to do next. And so community means a lot. I'm telling you, just you only need one answer. You only need one conversation to take you to the next. And then God provides the next answer, whenever the time is right. But community matters. And Power Couples, what we're trying to do really quickly, Coach, is just build a global community of couples who understand it. Raymond and I could live happily ever after on our own, but we really feel the need and we feel compelled to reach out to others. We've invested in this. This has been something that has been a baby of ours as a seedling because we want to see other couples do well. We recognize the attack. We recognize the need. And so we want to make sure that we're reaching out, up, down to do all that we can to cause global transformation and couples who recognize the importance of kingdom manifestation and they're willing to walk that out. So we're excited about what is to come.
This is so good, guys. This is so good. Go ahead and break down the meeting. I'm going to put the flyer up on the screen again and just give them an understanding on how they can register, how they can be a part of this meeting. You started to dive into that a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an annual meeting Raymond and Brooke has been doing for a while now. Listen, once again, help is available to you. Help is available for you. I've been teaching this, guys, that someone is succeeding where you're failing. And if you would just humble yourself and associate yourself, glean, learn, open, ask questions, you too could be doing well. And so we need not fail, suffer, and go through when others can help us. So tell us a little bit more in depth on how persons can register for this meeting.
Yes, you can actually go to our website, which is powercoupleslifestyle.com. And that's where you can actually register for the meeting. We'll be at the Caribbean Royal Resort and Hotel. And it's just going to be great. And so, come with your spouse, make it a time where you can come and relax and enjoy yourself and really, really learn and grow and connect with other couples.
Absolutely. And sometimes just getting away is important. So the Caribbean Royal Hotel Resort is located in the center of Orlando. It is absolutely beautiful. It's just a great time to get away. Again, pushing pause and allowing yourself to be refreshed will mean everything. So we kick off on that Thursday, June 10th, with a just a great exchange. You'll meet all the couples that are there. If you're registered online, we'll also have an online component for you to meet other couples. And those relationships are long lasting. They're just not overnight, and they fizzle. They actually are very sustainable. We've watched that again over the years. On Friday and Saturday, we'll host sessions, but we do make time for you to be able to enjoy one another, enjoy the resort, and even enjoy the city. So we'll start off on Friday morning with some great exchange. And the topics are specific and intentional to help you to get to, number one, some deeper revelation about who one another is. And then we're going to grow from there in regard to what you've been called to do. It's phenomenal. You don't want to miss it.
Listen, this is so good, guys. Well, one last question I have for you guys for married couples. A lot of times we invest in wanting that dream home. We want that upgrade car. I mean, she won that Louis bag. He won that Louis wallet. I mean, we want upgrades. And as couples, we're okay paying the price for the car. We're okay paying the price for the house. How important is it for them to be willing to pay the price for training, being for getting an understanding, for knowledge?
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because there's no greater investment than investing in yourself, right? Anything greater than that, I would say, is investing in the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
That's where you get your greatest returns on your dividends, investing in yourself or investing in your spouse. You can upgrade your house, but if your mind is an upgrade, it doesn't become a home, right? So you can upgrade all sorts of stuff, but you need yourself to be upgraded along with that, and make sure that you don't allow your marriage to be downgraded while you're trying to upgrade everything else.
Yeah.
This is so good. Ladies and gentlemen, Raymond and Brooke Eneas joining us this morning. It's all about power couples. In addition, guys, before we leave, I want to remind you guys, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, don't forget to come hang out with me on Memorial Day weekend, Saturday, May 29th. Listen, only 48. After we hit the 48 number, because we're planning for 48, you need to make sure that we know that you're coming, because we got to get your package together. And then, we got to specially order shirts and all that cool stuff. So go to our website, ricardomiller.com, and register for the Memorial Day weekend Fitness in the Park, faith, family fun. Listen, guys, fellowship. It's going to be a great day, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's a morning event. So here's what's going to happen. You can actually leave and go to your family barbecue and all that good stuff. Even if you were going out of town, you could do that. Start with us. The Effective Living Community. We're connecting. We have a meetup happening, and we want you to be a part of it. Listen, Raymond and Brooke, guys, once again, tell our viewing audience a little bit about the date and why they should join you all in Orlando or virtually for this upcoming event.
I love it. Thank you so much, Coach. We wish we were in the area so we can come to the Memorial Day. I love you there. But June 10th through the 12th, again, join us in Orlando at the beautiful Caribe Resort, or you can simply register and join us online. You can find out more at powercoupleslifestyle.com. We would love to have you. I'm telling you, it will be probably one of the better choices that you can make in your marriage, because it will be a defining moment. I'm guaranteeing that. It's always life-changing for every couple in the room. And so we invite you to join us.
I will leave you all with this bit of advice. When you go and you get married, there's a statement that says for better or for worse, right? And a lot of times I believe that people look at when it says for worse as something tragic happening, and then you have to go through it, right? Which is fine. But I think sometimes the worst happen because people are not intentional about their marriage. It doesn't have to happen. And so with power couples, we exist to help people live in the realm of the better. And when the worst come and you can't control it, you still can get to the better.
That is so good. Ladies and gentlemen, when you do right, when you can do right and you're supposed to do right, you'll survive when things ain't going right.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Listen, hey man, I love and appreciate you both. You all are amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, please tag somebody that you think will enjoy this meeting. Also, the information that was given, it was free, good content that you got just a while ago. And I mean, if you would just watch this and take some time as a couple and just dissect and look at certain things that you may have not considered before, you'll be amazed what you can actually use and strengthen your marriage from what has already been shared. And then if this is what you heard in this open early morning talk, you can imagine a couple of days dedicated to this. make a commitment to do what you got to do to help your marriage. Once again, thank you guys for joining me on Effective Living. Love you all.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.